بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله أحمده حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا وأثني عليه الخير كله، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد أفضل الخلق صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, dear respected brothers and sisters, welcome to a new episode of this program in which we are discussing the basic steps of understanding Islam, the tools that we need to understand Islam in a very structured way, in a very smooth way. We concluded in the previous episodes that we need to follow three main steps in understanding Islam. The first step is to get the correct information of Al-Islam, the correct sources of Al-Islam. Then we need those correct sources correctly, and then the third step is to implement what we understood correctly as well, to correctly implement the correct understanding of the correct sources of Al. We said also that the correct sources of Al-Islam are Quran, Sunnah, Ijma', Qiyas. And we said, in summary, we can say that the main sources of Al-Islam are Quran and Sunnah only. So they are the main sources and the only sources of Al-Islam. Qiyas and Ijma', as we will explain inshallah either in this episode or in the coming episodes, they are dependent on Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. In another way, any source that is not relying or extracted from Quran and Sunnah is not a source of Al-Islam, is baseless. So the ultimate source of Al-Islam is Quran and Sunnah, and you can say as well Ijma'. It is a matter of technicality that we will explain inshallah shortly. Now, we also said that once we rely on Al-Quran and As-Sunnah, we need to understand that any other source that is not relying on Al-Quran and As-Sunnah, such as the dreams that some people use as a source of Al-Islam, is not a source of Al-Islam, and hence anything is based on such sources is not Islamic. We can that Islam says this based on what we saw at night or based on our dreams. We cannot say this at all. So we have Quran and Sunnah, and now we need to explain what do we mean by understanding them correctly. Last time we said that Quran and Sunnah were revealed in Arabic. And in order to understand Quran and Sunnah, we need to understand Arabic language. We need to be acquainted in Arabic language in order to understand the Quran and Sunnah that were revealed in Arabic language. Because obviously, if you are reading a manual, remember the example of the ABC manual that was written in Chinese, and I'm not acquainted, I do not speak Chinese, and I tried to figure out what does it mean. It is impossible for me to figure out what it means. Why? Because obviously that was written in Chinese and I do not speak Chinese. Similarly, if Quran and Sunnah were revealed in Arabic, they are Arabic text, and I do not understand Arabic, then I have to use a method in order to understand Quran and Sunnah. And now, as we said, many people who live in non-Muslim countries, they do not speak Arabic. They rely on the translation of the Quran and Sunnah, and that leads to misunderstanding of Quran and Sunnah in number of cases. I gave the example of a person who said that Allah Jalla wa Ala allowed us to use certain people, saints or sheikhs or maybe pious people, to act as intermediary between us and Allah Jalla wa Ala, to intercede for us. How? They said that Allah Jalla wa Ala says, فابتغوا إليه الوسيلة. Seek the wasila, that what? That gets you closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. And according to one translation by a deviant sect, that this wasila can be a saint or can be a pious person or someone like that. So a person said to me that it is allowed to go to a saint or a sheikh who will intercede between you and Allah Jalla wa Ala. I said, where is this? Who said this? He said that this is in the Quran. I said, where is it in the Quran? He showed me the ayah of Al-Wasila. I said, but the ayah of Al-Wasila here, it does not mean this. He said, it is in the Quran. It is in the Quran. Then he showed me the English translation of the Quran. I said, you cannot say that it is in the Quran. You cannot say that it means this because you are not referring to the Quran. He said, no, I am referring to the Quran. I said, where? And he showed me the English translation of the Quran. I said, this is what? This is the English translation of the Quran. It is not the Quran. The English translation of the Quran means that this is the understanding of the one who translated the Quran. It is not the Quran itself. So it is a matter of interpretation, the interpretation of the one who wrote that translation of the Quran. So here we understand one of the main sources of this problem that many Muslim communities are facing, which is what? They rely on the translation or a translation of the Quran or the Sunnah, and they say that according to Quran, this is the situation, or we took this from the Quran. And they do not realize that they have taken this from the interpretation of the Quran, the meaning of the Quran, or the translation of the Quran. And that translation might be a correct translation, might not be a correct translation. And this also helps us to understand how to cure this problem, which is what? Which is relying on the correct, authentic translations of the Quran. Not only this, if we really want to tackle this problem from the roots, then we need to what? To learn Arabic in order to be able to understand Quran correctly. So this will solve, inshallah, or will help us to understand, will help us to solve this big problem that many of our Muslim brothers and sisters really have. Now, when we say that the translation of the Quran is not the Quran, then we need to be careful on how we deal with the translations, whether the translations of the Quran or the translation of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. So this is the second step, which is what? The proper understanding of the text, the proper understanding of the Quran. Then after the proper understanding of the Quran, we need to move to the third step, which is what? We understood it correctly, and now we need to implement it. For example, the ayah of Al-Wasila, فَابْتَغُوا إِلَيْهِ الْوَسِيلَةِ. Seek the wasila in order to get closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. Al-Wasila, what is Al-Wasila? Al-Wasila is the method. Now, this is the meaning of Al-Wasila. If we say that, okay, the meaning is clear, Allah Jalla wa Ala commanded us or encouraged us to use Al-Wasila in order to get closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. What is this Al-Wasila? The method that gets us closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. Then a person said, well, this is the ayah, it is clear in the Quran, I want to do tawaf around a qabr, a grave, in order to what? In order to get me closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. We say, Subhanallah, yes, you used the Quran, you understood the Quran, maybe correctly, maybe not correctly, because the wasila here means the method. that gets you closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. But when you try to implement it, you started to do tawaf around the grave, and you said that the Quran refers to this. Who said that the Quran is referring to this? The Quran is not referring to this. The Quran is pointing out to al-wasila that is according to the teachings of Al-Quran itself and the teachings of the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Moreover, we clearly see in the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the teachings of the Quran that any tawaf should be around the Kaaba only. There should be no tawaf around anything else whatsoever. It should be tawaf around the Kaaba. The Prophet ﷺ never did any tawaf around anything in the world. The Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum did not do any tawaf around anything in the world. The tawaf itself, a ibadah. The Prophet ﷺ said clearly that the tawaf is a salah, except talking is allowed in it, so it is a ibadah. So how can you do ibadah for someone other than what Allah Jalla wa Ala commanded us to do ibadah for, who is Allah Jalla wa Ala? So now we cannot use this ayah from the Quran to prove that this kind of tawaf is allowed by claiming that this is a Quran and this is the understanding of the Quran, and so our implementation is correct. No, you might have the Quran, you might understand it correctly, but the implementation of what you understood is the wrong implementation. I hope that this point is clear. Inshallah, we will elaborate more on this in the coming episodes. Jazakumullahu khaira wa barakallahu fikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.